Louisiana man's last stand. Can the courts halt a nitrogen gas execution? Is justice truly served when a state employs a novel and potentially flawed method of execution? Louisiana is poised to execute Jessie Hoffman Jr. using nitrogen gas, a method shrouded in controversy and legal challenges. This case raises critical questions about constitutional rights, religious freedom, and the ethics of capital punishment. Give a like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Louisiana is set to execute Jessie Hoffman Jr. via nitrogen gas, marking the state's first execution since 2010. Hoffman was convicted of the brutal 1996 murder of Mary Molly Elliott, a crime that shocked the community. The execution is scheduled for Tuesday evening at the Louisiana State Penitentiary, but last-minute legal challenges are attempting to halt the process. The clock is ticking, and the courts are Hoffman's last hope. A state district court judge has already rejected a temporary pause, signaling the uphill battle Hoffman faces. Governor Landry is not expected to intervene, further narrowing Hoffman's options. An appeal has been filed with the U.S. Supreme Court, arguing that nitrogen hypoxia violates Hoffman's constitutional rights. The legal arguments center on the potential for cruel and unusual punishment. Hoffman's lawyers are also arguing that nitrogen hypoxia infringes on his Buddhist religious practices. Hoffman began practicing Buddhism in 2002, finding solace and guidance in its teachings. Meditative breathing is crucial for a peaceful transition at death, according to Buddhist tradition. This practice is believed to influence the quality of rebirth. Nitrogen hypoxia's sense of suffocation is argued to be incompatible with meditative breathing. Lawyers contend that meditative breathing at death determines the quality of rebirth, a core tenet of Hoffman's faith. The state's chosen method, they argue, actively prevents him from practicing his religion in his final moments. This raises serious questions about religious freedom within the context of capital punishment. It remains uncertain whether the Supreme Court will intervene in this case. The conservative majority justices have previously declined to block nitrogen gas executions in Alabama. This precedent suggests a reluctance to interfere with states' chosen methods of execution. However, the religious freedom argument could potentially sway some justices. Louisiana Corrections Secretary selected nitrogen hypoxia due to the increasing difficulty in procuring lethal injection drugs. This shortage has forced states to explore alternative methods of execution. More than 50 people are currently on Louisiana's death row, highlighting the state's continued reliance on capital punishment. The state argues that nitrogen hypoxia offers a viable and humane alternative. A U.S. district judge temporarily stopped the execution, citing the need for more scrutiny of the nitrogen hypoxia protocol. The judge was particularly troubled by the state's redacted nitrogen hypoxia protocol, raising concerns about transparency. However, a federal appeals court reversed the temporary injunction, allowing the execution to proceed. The appeals court argued that alternative methods, such as a firing squad, could be more painful. This argument highlights the complex and often unsettling comparisons made when evaluating different execution methods. The court's decision underscores the legal challenges in proving that a specific method constitutes cruel and unusual punishment. Media witnesses in Alabama described inmates gasping, thrashing, and shaking during a nitrogen hypoxia execution. These accounts raise serious concerns about the humaneness of the procedure. Medical experts warn of slow asphyxiation if the procedure is not carried out properly. Even a small amount of oxygen getting into the mask could prolong death, causing unnecessary suffering. Alabama officials argue that the method is swift, painless, and humane, despite the witness accounts. Louisiana officials studied Alabama's nitrogen system before implementing their own. Louisiana built a nitrogen hypoxia facility at the Louisiana State Penitentiary, investing in the infrastructure for this new method. State attorneys argue that Hoffman can still breathe in the mask, leading to quicker unconsciousness. Hoffman abducted Mary Molly Elliott in 1996, a crime that devastated her family and community. Elliott was forced to withdraw money, then raped and shot to death, a sequence of events that paints a picture of unspeakable horror. Prosecutors said Hoffman confessed to the crime and that Elliott begged for her life. The brutality of the crime is undeniable. The prosecutor argued that Hoffman earned the death penalty through his heinous actions. This sentiment reflects the deep-seated desire for retribution that often accompanies capital cases. The victim's family has endured decades of pain and suffering, fueling their desire for justice. Andy Elliott, Mary Molly Elliott's husband, has become indifferent to the death penalty over the years. He supports the execution primarily to end the uncertainty and prolonged legal battles. Elliott acknowledges that the execution will not provide closure or bring his wife back. He emphasizes that Hoffman has never offered an explanation or remorse for his actions. The Louisiana Coalition Jews Against Gassing criticizes the method, drawing parallels to the Holocaust. This comparison highlights the ethical and moral concerns surrounding the use of gas as a method of execution. The group argues that nitrogen hypoxia is a cruel and inhumane practice that should be abolished. Hoffman's is one of 4 executions planned in the United States this week, underscoring the ongoing debate about capital punishment. Arizona is scheduled to put an inmate to death by lethal injection for the first time since 2022. These cases highlight the varying approaches to capital punishment across different states. The national conversation surrounding the death penalty remains complex and deeply divided. The case of Jessie Hoffman Jr. forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about justice, ethics, and the limits of state power. Will the courts intervene to halt the execution? Is nitrogen hypoxia a humane method of execution? And what does it say about our society that we continue to grapple with the death penalty in the 21st century? This case demands careful consideration and informed debate. We encourage you to research the arguments presented by both sides, engage in respectful dialogue with others, and contact your elected officials to express your views on capital punishment. Share this video to raise awareness and spark further discussion. Only through informed engagement can we hope to arrive at a more just and equitable system of justice.